Hello students, today we will talk about basal ganglia. Basal ganglia, they are the group of nuclei which are situated in the subcortical region. So the components of basal ganglia are, first is the caudate nucleus, then putamen and globus pallidus. These three structures, they are the part of telencephalon. Then the next structure is that is the subthalamic nucleus, and that's the part of diencephalon. And the lowermost is the substantia nigra, which is the part of mesencephalon. So the total components of basal ganglia, they are caudate nucleus, putamen, then globus pallidus, subthalamic nucleus, and substantia nigra. Basically the basal ganglia, they, unlike cerebellum, they do not receive any input from the lower part of our body. It is mainly, its input and output is mainly connected to the brain, and that too, it is to the cerebral cortex. So, the input coming to the basal ganglia is from the cerebral cortex, all parts of cerebral cortex, that like the premotor cortex, prefrontal area, then premotor cortex, supplementary motor area, then association areas also. Now, the basal ganglia, mainly it is concerned with the control and planning and programming of the complex motor movements. So basal ganglia, for that there are two circuits which are, or the two pathways which work. One is direct pathway, another is indirect pathway. The other circuits, there are total 4 circuits which are present in the basal ganglia area. That is, one is, and they are also known as the loops: motor loop, limbic loop, then oculomotor loop, and associative loop. So these 4, the basal ganglia, it works with these 4 loops. Now, first we will see how this direct circuit and the indirect circuit, they are formed, or the indirect pathways, they are formed. First is our direct pathway. The basal ganglia, as I had told you, it receives input from the cortex, cerebral cortex. So, first we will draw this. This is the cerebral cortical region. Suppose, mainly it is receiving the input from prefrontal cortex and premotor area, and or association areas. And then, and here we will have this, before discussing that, the caudate nucleus and putamen, together they are known as the striatum or neostriatum. Commonly we call it as striatum. Caudate nucleus and putamen together. And if we talk about caudate nucleus, putamen, and globus pallidus, three of them, they are known as and the putamen and the globus pallidus, they form the lentiform nucleus. And caudate nucleus, putamen, and globus pallidus, they form the corpus striatum. This caudate nucleus, putamen, and globus pallidus, 3 of them, they form the corpus striatum, whereas the caudate nucleus and putamen, these 2, they form the striatum or the neostriatum. The putamen and globus pallidus, they are known as lentiform. They form the lentiform nucleus. Now, let us see the connections. So we will draw it as, this is the stratum, that is putamen and caudate nucleus. Then globus pallidus, it has two components. One is external globus pallidus and internus. This is globus pallidus externus and this is globus pallidus internus. Now, here is our thalamic nuclei. From the basal ganglia, the output goes to three nuclei, that is ventral lateral nucleus, ventral anterior nucleus, and central median nucleus. These are the three structures of thalamus which receives the input from the basal ganglia and via globus pallidus internus. Okay. Now, the next structure is, as I had told you, next component of basal ganglia, that is the subthalamic nucleus. So, subthalamic nucleus, it's a part of our diencephalon. And then we have the substantia nigra. The substantia nigra is, it has got two parts. The upper part, it is substantia pars compacta. This is substantia nigra pars compacta. Then the lower portion is substantia nigra pars reticularis. These are the two sections or the two subdivisions of substantia nigra. Now, once this, it is like the two pathway, as I told you, direct pathway and indirect pathway. When this direct pathway is activated, it is when we are resting and we are not intent to do when there is no intention of doing any movement of the body, then this direct circuit, it is activated. Now, for direct circuit, the information, it is that this impulse, it reaches from the cortical region to first it reaches to the stratum part, that is putamen and caudate nucleus. Now from here, the nuclei, there are these nuclei, this pathway, it is the stimulatory pathway. These are the stimulatory neurons, glutaminergic, and the neurotransmitter is the glutamate. Glutamate is the neurotransmitter. These fibers, they are known as corticostriatal fibers because they are originating in the cortex and terminating in the striatal area. So these fibers, they are known as corticostriatal fibers, and these fibers, they are stimulatory fibers, and the neurotransmitter is glutamate. So they are also known as glutaminergic fibers. Now, these fibers, they influence mainly the striatal fibers. In the stratum, the neuronal fibers are GABAergic. That is, they are secreting, these neurons, they are secreting, nerve fibers, they are secreting GABA. So, there are two types of fibers. First is, the fibers, they are originating in the striatal area and terminating in globus pallidus internus. These fibers, they are the GABAergic fibers. They secrete GABA. Now, the another connection from the globus pallidus internus, the another type of the fibers which originate and terminate in the thalamus, they are again GABAergic fibers. They are the GABAergic fibers. Now, these fibers, the fibers which are originating from the stratum and terminating in the globus pallidus internus, they are known as stratopallidal fibers. Stratopallidal fibers. And similarly, the fibers which are originating in globus pallidus internus and terminating in the thalamus, they are known as pallidothalamic fibers. Pallidothalamic fibers. And the fibers which are originating in thalamic area, they are and they terminate in the cortical region. These fibers are the thalamocortical fibers. Thalamocortical fibers. And these fibers are again glutaminergic. Glutaminergic. That is, they are again excitatory. So there are two excitatory, the fibers which are originating from the cortex, they are again excitatory, and the fibers which are terminating in the cortex, they are excitatory. The output from in the various nuclei of this globus in the direct pathway, we are talking just about the direct pathway, they are GABAergic. So, whenever there is this pathway, it's a direct pathway. When this pathway is stimulated, that is when we are at rest and we're not doing any type of movement, this pathway, it works. Now, the impulses which reached the fibers which are stimulated by this corticostriatal fibers, they secrete glutamate and they stimulate the GABAergic fibers. Once these GABAergic fibers, they are stimulated, so GABA is an inhibitory neurotransmitter. So what will happen? It will inhibit this globus pallidus area. Once this globus pallidus area, it is inhibited, the fibers which are secreting GABA, that is the pallidothalamic fibers which are secreting GABA, their secretion will be reduced. If that secretion is decreased, that means the inhibitory effect of this GABA over this thalamocortical fibers will be less. They will be less inhibited, these thalamocortical fibers. So, their output will be excitatory, more excitation is there. So, this direct pathway is excitatory. The direct pathway is excitatory. I repeat, whenever this impulse, whenever the fibers, these corticostriatal fibers, they are stimulated, they secrete glutamate. Because of the secretion of this glutamate, these glutamate, it will stimulate the GABAergic fibers originating from stratum and terminating in the globus pallidus. These fibers will secrete more of GABA. If more of GABA is secreted in globus pallidus internus, the fibers which are originating these pallidothalamic fibers, thalamic fibers, they will be inhibited. Why? Because this more of the GABA is here. So if these fibers, they are inhibited, means their firing rate is reduced. The firing rate of these fibers, that is the pallidothalamic fibers, it is reduced. If this rate is reduced, then what will happen? The fibers which are originating in the thalamic area, which area? Ventrolateral nucleus, ventral anterior nucleus, and the centromedian nucleus. In this area, the fibers which are originating and terminating in the cortical region, majority of the fibers, they terminate in the motor cortex, primary motor cortical region, from where the from where the are upper motor neurons which originate, or the corticospinal tract which is originating. So these fibers, they will be less inhibited. If this GABA secretion is less from the this pallidothalamic fibers, they are secreting less of GABA, then these fibers, the thalamocortical fibers, will be less inhibited. So if they are less inhibited means their output is excitatory. They will be exciting the primary cortex, and they will be exciting upper motor neuron or the corticospinal tract, and hence their effect over the lower motor neuron will be increased. So this is the direct pathway which is working when we are at rest. Now, if we intend to do something, some movement, usually the basal ganglia, it controls the complex movements. And whenever we intend, like if we intend to do any movement, just with the intention, the neurotransmitters are released in the basal ganglia area. And for doing a movement, some muscles, they act as agonist, and some muscles, they act as antagonist at the joint. Because then only the movement, and agonist muscles have to be, if I want to flex at the wrist joint, suppose my flexors they are the agonist muscle, that is, there will be a flexion and they have to be excited. And the extensors of my arm, they have to be inhibited. That is, these are the antagonistic muscles. The excitatory muscles, they are the antagonistic muscles. So at that time, whenever there is any movement which is occurring, then both direct as well as the indirect pathways, they work. How? Now, what is the indirect pathway? Let us discuss how this indirect pathway works. For that also, first is our corticostriatal fibers. And these corticostriatal fibers, they are again glutaminergic, that is, they are excitatory. Now, from here, these fibers, the glutaminergic fibers of indirect pathway, they excite another type of GABAergic neurons which terminate in the globus pallidus externus. They are not exciting the fibers which are they are terminating in the globus pallidus internus. They are exciting the fibers which are terminating in globus pallidus externus. Now, from the globus pallidus external, there are another type of GABAergic fibers which terminate in the subthalamic nucleus. The subthalamic, these are again GABAergic nuclei. They connect the globus pallidus externus with the subthalamic nucleus. Now, from the subthalamic nucleus, there are glutaminergic fibers, excitatory fibers, which terminate in the globus pallidus internus. Now, from the globus pallidus internus, there are another type of GABAergic fibers which terminate in the globus pallidus internus. They are GABAergic fibers. And from here, again the thalamocortical fibers, they are there. They are again glutaminergic fibers. But what happens? Now, when this indirect cycle is activated, what happens? Once these corticostriatal fibers, they are stimulated, when we intend to do some work. Now, if there is, as soon as that intention reaches to our mind, the cognition, immediately these corticostriatal fibers, that is glutaminergic fibers, they are excited. They will excite the GABAergic fibers which are terminating in the globus pallidus externus. These GABAergic fibers So there will be increased secretion of GABA in the globus pallidus externus. Now, whenever there is increased secretion of these globus pallidus internus fibers, they will stimulate these GABAergic fibers. These GABAergic fibers will be stimulated and there will be increased secretion of GABA in the subthalamic nucleus. If there is increased secretion of GABA in the subthalamic nucleus, what it will do? It will inhibit the secretion of these glutaminergic fibers which are originating in subthalamic nucleus and terminating in globus pallidus. If there is decreased secretion of this, there will be if there is increased secretion of this GABA, these fibers will be inhibited. These GABA secreting fibers, they are inhibited. And once these GABA secreting fibers, they are inhibited, these glutaminergic fibers, they will secrete more of glutamate in the globus pallidus internus region. When these fibers, they are stimulating this region, globus pallidus internus, the GABA secretion from here, it will increase. The GABA secretion, the firing rate of these GABAergic neurons, that is pallidothalamic neuron, it will increase. So more of GABA will be secreted in the thalamic region. So if more of GABA is secreted in the thalamic region, what it will do? It will inhibit the various nuclei, that is ventral lateral and ventral anterior part and the centromedian nucleus of the thalamus. So if these regions, they are inhibited, so output of this thalamocortical fibers, it will decrease, or there will be inhibitory output, less will be there in the cortical region. So this circuit, this indirect pathway, it acts as a inhibitory to the cortex. This is inhibitory. It is acting as inhibitory, or the less amount of excitation of the cortex will be less. This is excitatory. The direct pathway is excitatory to the cortex, whereas the indirect pathway is not excitatory. Inhibiting to the cortex. Now, I will repeat, that is this outflow. In the indirect pathway, the glutaminergic fibers, they are stimulating the GABAergic fibers which are terminating in the globus pallidus externus. So the GABA secretion from these fibers, it is increased. Whenever these fibers, they are stimulated, so there will be inhibition of globus pallidus externus. When there is inhibition of globus pallidus externus, so the fibers which are originating from externus and terminating in the subthalamic nuclei, these fibers, they will secrete less of GABA. So if there is less of GABA, the glutaminergic or the subthalamic fibers originating from the subthalamus and terminating in the globus pallidus region, these glutaminergic fibers, they will secrete more of glutamate. If more of glutamate is available in the globus pallidus internus, this will be stimulated. If this is stimulated, the GABA released from the pallidothalamic fibers, it will increase. The secretion of GABA is increased, that is, the more GABA will be reaching to the thalamic nuclei. When more of the GABA is reaching to the thalamic nuclei, that means it will inhibit this thalamocortical fibers, and there will be inhibitory, these fibers will be inhibited, and there will be less secretion in the impulses. Less number of impulses will be reaching to the cortical region. So the indirect pathway is inhibitory, whereas the direct pathway is excitatory. Now, the role of substantia nigra. How this substantia nigra works. Now, the striatum is also, the fibers of striatum, they are also connected to the pars compacta, this substantia nigra pars reticularis. These are GABAergic fibers. These are the GABAergic fibers, and from here the pars reticularis, these fibers are again, they have connection with the thalamus, and this whole circuit is GABAergic. They are again GABAergic fibers. So the pars reticularis is a mainly GABAergic circle, and it is inhibitory to the thalamus. Pars substantia nigra pars reticularis is inhibitory to thalamus. Now, the dopamine, there are another type of fibers which are originating from substantia nigra pars compacta region of substantia nigra. These fibers, they are the dopaminergic fibers. These dopaminergic fibers, they are originating in pars compacta region and terminating in the striatal region. These are the nigrostriatal fibers. The fibers which are originating from stratum and terminating in pars reticularis, they are known as stratonigral fibers. Stratonigral fibers, and the fibers which are originating in pars compacta area and terminating in the striatum, they are the nigrostriatal fibers. Now, these fibers, they secrete dopamine. They are dopaminergic fibers. Now, these fibers, there are two types of receptors which are present in the striatal area, in the stratum. One is D1 receptor and another is D2 receptors. These fibers, they are, whenever the dopamine, these fibers, they are terminating on D1 receptors, and D1 receptors, they are stimulatory to the direct pathway. They are stimulatory to these D1 receptors, they are connected to they synapse with these D1 receptors, they synapse with these GABAergic fibers of the direct pathway. These fibers, they are D1 receptors, they are stimulatory to the direct pathway, whereas if these nigrostriatal fibers, they terminate on D2 receptors, or the synapse with the D2 receptors, and the D2 receptors, they synapse with the GABAergic fibers of indirect pathway. And these D2 fibers, they are inhibitory to the indirect pathway. I repeat, these dopamine, if it is the stratonigral fibers, nigrostriatal fibers, if they are synapse terminating on D1 receptors, they have stimulatory effect on the direct pathway. If the nigrostriatal fibers, they are terminating on D2 receptors, they have the inhibitory effect on the indirect pathway. So, if these nigrostriatal fibers, they are stimulated at D1 receptors, they will affect the direct pathway and they will increase the excitatory effect. And if these fibers, that is the nigrostriatal fibers, they are terminating on D2 receptors, then this indirect pathway will be inhibited and it will again have the excitatory effect on the motor cortex. So, this way, the dopamine, there are another type of interneurons which are present in striatal region. They are cholinergic neurons. That is, they secrete the acetylcholine. They are also present. There are cholinergic neurons which are secreting the acetylcholine in the striatal region. These neurons, the acetylcholine has got inhibitory effect over the direct pathway, whereas it has got stimulatory effect over the indirect pathway. That is, the effect of acetylcholine, it is reverse of dopamine. That is, dopamine is excitatory, as I had told you, it is excitatory to the direct pathway and inhibitory to indirect pathway, whereas the acetylcholine is inhibitory to direct pathway and it is stimulatory to the indirect pathway. So these are the main pathways which work in the basal ganglia. Then there are another pathway type, that is the caudate circuit, and the putamen circuit is also there. The caudate circuit is in which the corticostriatal fibers, they are mainly terminating in the caudate region of the striatum, and they are concerned with the cognitive control of sequences of complex motor movements, motor functions. And in case of putamen circuit, that is, putamen circuit is mainly concerned with the control of the motor activity, and the fibers they are put in the putamen circuit, the corticostriatal fiber, they terminate in the region of putamen, and this area, the putamen, these fibers, they are mainly concerned with the execution of the motor activity, whereas the caudate circuit is mainly it is concerned with the cognitive control of the sequences of the movement. That is, it function more in association with the prefrontal cortex, whereas the putamen circuit, it works in more association with the motor area, motor cortex, motor, premotor and supplementary motor area, and then the motor cortex. This putamen circuit works in that area. So these are the main circuits, that is the main pathways, direct pathway and the indirect pathway. And now you know that the main neurotransmitter which is released from these nuclei, these basal ganglia, it is the GABA and dopamine. GABA, dopamine, these are the main neurotransmitter. GABAergic fibers are more there in the striatal region and the corpus striatum, mainly the GABAergic neurons, they are the maximum, their concentration is of GABAergic neurons. So this is the circuit for till today. We will discuss only this much. In the next class, we will discuss the details of the functions and the disorders of the basal ganglia. What will happen if there is any abnormality in this nigrostriatal pathway, direct pathway, indirect pathway, or if there is acetylcholine secretion. How these neurotransmitters, they affect the the functioning of the basal ganglia, and how the disorders will be produced. So that section, that is the detailed functioning. Today we have discussed just the anatomy and the circuit pathways of the basal ganglia. In the next class, we are going to discuss the functions and disorders of the basal ganglia. Okay, thank you very much.